It's the first period of settled weather for 2024, and it gives me an opportunity to take James and Bertie over to Paris for the weekend. This is a two-part video. This one, part one, will give you a detailed briefing on our first leg. We're going to stop at Le Touquet to clear customs. Things have changed a fair bit since last summer, with some new processes to follow and a new UK Home Office S-GAR service, which you'll probably need to use for the first time.
Clear prop!
I'll talk you through how it works and what you need to do.
Well, welcome aboard, everyone. We're going on a little family adventure, aren't we?
We are.
We're going to Paris. Wanted to do this for a long time. Whilst we're warming up the engine here briefly, I'll just quickly show you the route. We're going to go out southeast out of Redhill, over the top of Lyd, across the channel at the shortest point, and then into the Touquet where we'll clear customs. Half an hour later we'll take off from the Touquet and head southeast, going around the northeast of Paris, landing at an airfield called Longniez. Lima, Foxtrot, Papa Lima. And it's got a hard and a grass runway there, and it's very convenient for Disneyland Paris, where we're actually going to tomorrow.
Off in your picture, runway 24, 72, 50 degrees, 16 knots, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, runway 24, Golf India Victor.
We're full of fuel, have luggage for a long weekend away, and so I'm applying full power on the brakes. This is a short field takeoff. Redhill's small hard runway here is just 498 metres long. For those of you who deal in imperial measurements, that's just 1100 feet, and I'm going to need nearly all of that on this warm spring day.
So this has been the first bit of good weather we've had for days in succession where you can actually get away, go away for a few days and then come back. First time we've had that in quite a long time. I don't think any time this year has been an opportunity to go and do a trip over to France with the reliability of being able to get back home. So I spotted this weather on the charts about a week ago, and thought, do you know what, this looks promising. So we hatched a plan to go over to Paris. Looking forward to it. I hear Longniez is quite busy. So and there's a tight bit of airspace around there. So looking forward to that. But the first part of the route's pretty standard, over to Le Touquet, of course. At approach, Golf Bravo Mike India Victor, 13 miles to the northwest. Request basic service.
Golf Bravo Mike India Victor, lead approach. Hello, the QNH is 1031 and pass your message.
QNH 1031, Golf Bravo Mike India Victor, PA28 Arrow, Redhill to Le Touquet, 13 miles to the northwest, passing altitude 3,600 feet for 5,200 feet. VFR, routing overhead, request basic service.
Golf India Victor, basic service, a squawk 7066. The channel dangers are active. Delta 44 to the south of us is cold. And report when you pass overhead the airfield.
Squawk 7066, basic service, Wilco, Golf India Victor.
57 Alpha, recording.
57 Alpha, report passing Topper.
Wilco, 57 Alpha.
While you enjoy seeing the English countryside flying by beneath us, I'm going to go into quite a bit of detail now about the bureaucratic processes you have to follow for a flight like this. Things have changed a bit recently, so listen up if you haven't crossed the channel for a while. So in order to cross from England into France, we have to use what's now termed a regulated airfield, one that is approved for international flights. The definition of a regulated airfield, and a list of them, is on the UK's SGAR guidance page. Where you can fly to and where you can fly from, and the notice periods you have to give differs, especially in the case of flying to Ireland, Northern Ireland, or the Channel Islands. There are also different requirements if your flight is commercial and not a private one. Next, we must file a flight plan. I use SkyDemon for that. Just set up your aircraft profile, input the number of passengers, plan your route, buy some flight plan credits, and bosh, very, very quick and easy. It'll send you an email confirmation that the flight plan has been filed. Remember to open it once you're airborne, or check that it has been opened by your local unit. From directly within SkyDemon, you can even delay, cancel or close your flight plan, which is great. Your flight plan should be filed at least 30 minutes before departure. However, I think they prefer you ideally to file it at least an hour ahead. Next, we have to let the Border and Customs and Excise agencies in England and France know about our trip. In the past, you didn't used to have to file a general aviation report to UK Border Force when departing England. Now you do. Inbound or outbound, you must tell both sides of the channel. For UK Border Force, if you're going to France, for example, you must submit your GAR no less than 2 hours before departure and no more than 48 hours before. In the case of the French, the timescales depend where you are landing. SkyDemon used to help us with the GAR forms as it had a free connection to the online GAR service. You used to be able to input all your passport and passenger details, and at the click of a button it would send your GAR form to the UK authorities and email the correct email address for the French at the same time. Unfortunately, they've now withdrawn that service from SkyDemon, and you either have to sign up for a paid plan with online GAR or use the UK government's new S-GAR system and then email French Customs manually. So dealing with the SGAR, the British side of things first, this is what it looks like. I find just searching the internet for SGAR brings up the page. You have to register your email address, which I seem to remember was fairly painless, and then every time you log in it confirms it's you by sending you an email token. Compared with the old method, I found SGAR is a bit of a pain to use, to be honest, a bit clunky, a little bit confusing during its first use. I sat there staring at it thinking, what does it want me to put in here? There are multiple pages you have to click through too, multiple steps, and it does take longer than the old way I used to do it over on SkyDemon. Now it's going to ask you for your flight details, the aircraft, the time and place and date of departure, then all the passport info for all the passengers. Now here's something to watch for. It actually asks you, at the moment, at the point of recording this, it asks you for each person's given name. Note it says name, not names. However, the law says that you need to give everyone's full name as printed on their passports, not just their first name and surname. I've heard of pilots actually being threatened with a fine by Border Force because they only put in everyone's first name as dictated by the website here. They really do need to change the website. If they want people to give full names, it should specify that. They've been told about this problem, but they still haven't changed it. Anyhow, follow through the rest of the form. It'll ask you about who the responsible person is. I suspect this is so they know who to prosecute if you misspell someone's name or if someone's passport has expired and you didn't check it. Once the form is complete, click submit. If you're going outbound, you'll just get an email receipt for your filed GAR. However, if you're coming back into the UK, it'll now check everyone's details and it will show on the screen whether you and your passengers are permitted to travel to the UK. This is what they call response messaging, and this is a new feature. Now there are 3 possible outcomes to this. Firstly, it might say valid permission to travel. Now according to the Home Office, this means that you don't have to check for visas, but you should examine the passport and check it's genuine and valid. Now when I put my GAR in, it came back with a different message to that. It actually said authority to carry granted. Now in this case, according to the website, I'm supposed to additionally check any visas for those that require them. The Home Office has a website for checking whether your passengers need a visa, which will depend upon their nationality, their purpose of travel and so on. In most cases, if you're bringing in passengers from Europe, for example, for a short holiday or for a quick business meeting, if they're European nationals, then they probably won't need a visa. The third response message you might get is actually not a message at all. It's actually where there's no message on the screen, it's just blank, I suppose. In this case, don't board the passenger, and you're likely to get a telephone call, pretty smartish, from the Border Force, maybe an email as well, telling you that you must not carry the individual on the flight. So you need to check that it's showing you've got authority to travel before you board the flight. You can save your passengers' details on the system, so if you regularly fly with the same people, you don't have to input their information over and over again, which is useful perhaps for just a return flight, unless of course their passport has changed. GARs can actually now be amended once they've been submitted. You must resubmit a GAR if you plan to land somewhere other than the airport you originally stated, or if your passenger manifest has changed, i.e. the people on board. If you're delayed because of weather, actually, do you know what? You don't actually have to do anything nor resubmit a new GAR unless you're coming back on a different day. So if you're coming back on the same day and you're 2 or 3 hours late, you don't have to do anything. I think they must check the flight plans. Let's say that you had originally planned to land back at Stapleford and weather en route was quite poor, unexpected, and you had to divert somewhere. The guidance states that you must divert to the alternative Customs and Excise designated aerodrome specified on the flight plan. If you can't do that, then you have to submit a new report when you land and contact the local border force on arrival. And I did find that there was a list of the local border force offices on the website. I suspect your local airfield where you land will know this too. Now don't forget that you have to notify the French customs about your flights as well, inbound and outbound. Who you email and in what time frame depends airfield by airfield in France and actually throughout Europe. You'll find the information in the AIP entry under Customs and Immigration. In the case of Le Touquet, it gives us the hours that customs is available, an email address, what information they want. There is no minimum notice period given. You are unlikely to receive a response from customs unless you specifically state that you want one. I think on one occasion I've had a reply back from them. Just send the email and off you go. Other airfields though, let's say Cherbourg for example, you might want to clear customs there. They have a requirement to give plenty of notice. Monday to Friday they need 24 hours notice, which is a real faff. Weekends and bank holidays 48 hours notice. One word of warning when you email the French customs, clearly specify your arrival or departure time in your email with the local time and UTC, and be very clear about which is which. I find that the French customs often go by local time actually, and if you've only listed UTC, they will be very grumpy if they either have to wait for you or you end up having to wait for them to come out to you. Now my destination later on this trip is Long, near Paris. Like many French airfields, they have no customs and immigration at all, and it says this in the AIP entry for the airfield, and so you cannot land there directly from the UK, which is why I'm stopping at Le Touquet on this flight. Now this all probably sounds terribly complicated, and there is a lot to do and a lot to remember, but in practice, after you've done it a few times, it's not too horrendous. First time, perhaps do it the night before. If you're going to do it on the day, at least give yourself 15-30 minutes to do all of this. I usually get it all done, as I say, the night before my flight.
AOPA UK, which has sponsored this video, says that there have been some teething problems with the S-GAR system. It says that AOPA members have been reporting some reliability issues, and because AOPA sits on the Border Force Working Group, it's been passing on these to the Home Office officials. According to AOPA, the Border Force has promised to address the problems. If you're an AOPA member and have any difficulty at all with the system, or maybe you want AOPA to support you in a complaint or issue, then do contact them. If you're not an AOPA member but want to support them or need help with your own issue, then Flying Reporter followers are entitled to a 25% discount off new 1- and 2-year memberships. Click on the link on the screen, scan the QR code, or find details in the video description.
Little information, Golf Bravo Mike, India Victor, good afternoon.
India Victor, bonjour.
Golf India Victor is 8 miles west of Deauville, inbound to Le Touquet, altitude 5,200 feet.
India Victor, squawk 6100, QNH 1032.
Squawk 6100, QNH 1032, Golf India Victor.
Roger, India Victor, for the moment you can descend altitude 2,000 feet, not below. You call me back to descend below.
Roger, descend not below 2,000 feet, Golf India Victor. So this is quite an interesting descent here because we've got a tailwind here. We're doing 160 knots, which means I need 700 feet per minute really to be at zero by the airfield. I know we're going to be at a circuit altitude, but So we're coming down quite steeply.
All right. As they say in the programme, hang on to your hats, boys.
About 7 minutes to landing, Bertie.
Okay.
Golf India Victor, Point November, altitude 2,200 feet, request frequency change Le Touquet Tower 118.450.
India Victor, contact Le Touquet 118450, bye-bye.
Goodbye, Golf India Victor. Le Touquet Tower, Golf Bravo Mike India Victor, 11 miles to the north. We have Delta QNH 1032.
C'est Golf Echo Tango Golf, piste 31, autorisé atterrissage, vent 250 degrés, 10 nœuds.
Tango Golf autorisé, atterrissage, piste 31.
Golf Bravo Mike India Victor, bonjour. C'est type of aircraft and airfield of departure, please.
Roger, it's a PA-28 Arrow and we're inbound from Red Hill Echo Golf Kilo Romeo.
India Victor, squawk 6110, follows coastline, report right hand downwind 31.
Squawk 6110, follow the coastline, report right hand downwind runway 31, Golf India Victor. Bit smoother this side of the channel, eh?
It is smooth, isn't it? Could almost have a little snooze. Well, I could, you could. I'd never heard of Le Touquet until we started landing here.
Known as sort of Paris by the sea. Hence the Touquet Paris plage.
That's a bit like how Brighton is known as London by the sea.
Yeah.
Golf Bravo Mike India Victor, runway 31, clear to land, wind 270 degrees 10 knots.
Clear to land, runway 31, Golf Bravo Mike India Victor.
Le Touquet seems to always give a warm, professional and efficient welcome. It can get busy on a sunny weekend though. It's great for a day trip, or as we have done, to make a quick passage through customs on our journey elsewhere in Europe.
You look like fun to me. You look a little like somebody.
Part 2 of this video will come out next week. You can see us land at Long in Paris and visit Euro Disney. If you can't wait for that, the video is showing now, advert-free, on my Supporters Club channel. Sign up through my website or directly on Patreon. So, quick stop customs. Oh, try and get out now.
Nice one.
Literally in and out, 5 minutes. So that's all good. Back to the aeroplane and now off to Paris. Happy?
Yeah.
I'll say au revoir for now and voler en toute sécurité, mes amis.
Nous allons au Paris.